Without question, Kevin Durant is one of the most skilled and special talents that the game of basketball has ever seen. You guys know all about this unicorn. He's a 7-foot sniper, a player with remarkable size and length who can move and handle the basketball like an elite guard. He's one of the most deadly scorers in the history of the sport, and he's extremely efficient from the interior, from the mid-range, and from three-point distance. Kevin has always been a top-tier offensive producer throughout his career, as he has a total of 4 scoring titles, trailing only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. KD is also one of the few players to ever have a 50-40-90 season, meaning he averaged at least 50% efficiency from the field, 40% efficiency from three-point range, and 90% efficiency from the free throw line over the course of an entire regular season. And he did this multiple times. I think you get the point. Kevin Durant is the very definition of a walking bucket, and with his God-given attributes, he had many convinced that he could end up being the best player in the league, the best player on a championship team, and the greatest player of his era. Unfortunately, the truth is that he was often second in most of those aspects. Let's face it, the number 2 is synonymous with the legacy of Kevin Durant. He started his career as the second overall pick in the 2007 NBA draft, taken just after Greg Oden. In hindsight, KD certainly deserved to be the number 1 pick, but it would probably be unfair to call Oden a bust because the way his career panned out had more to do with his significant injuries and not so much about any lack of amazing talent. On the other hand, a healthy Kevin Durant rose to superstardom almost immediately. By the 3rd season of his career, he was leading the NBA in scoring, averaging 30 points per game, as he took his OKC Thunder to a 50-win season, and their first playoff berth since moving to Oklahoma. With that being said, his trend of second place continued, as he finished second in the MVP voting that season, behind the strong MVP effort of LeBron James. This was the beginning of a 4-year stretch where KD finished second in the MVP voting in 3 of those seasons. Each and every one of those 3 years, it was a prime LeBron James that was ahead of him, winning the league MVP award. If that didn't firmly establish the narrative that Durant was living in the shadow of LeBron, well then the 2012 NBA Finals certainly did. On the game's biggest stage, LeBron and the Big 3 Miami Heat defeated the OKC Thunder comfortably in just 5 games. Now, was it really KD's fault that he ended up in second once again? Perhaps not, as he did have great numbers in the series, and especially in the elimination game, he didn't really have the support he needed to get the job done. With that being said, he and his fellow co-stars were still only in their early 20s, and Durant specifically was 4 years younger than the prime LeBron James. So with that in mind, the widespread belief was that the day was coming where he would be seen as the number 1 guy. Number 1 in the league, number 1 on a championship team, and maybe even number 1 of his era. He had his moment to shine in the 2013-2014 regular season, where he averaged 32 points per game with solid efficiency splits, leading to a 59-win season for the OKC Thunder. Finally, for a brief moment in time, KD was seen as the number 1 guy, as he won the MVP award, finally besting a competitive LeBron James. Although he was worthy of the 2014 MVP, he wasn't without his critics, as some people believed that he was given the award as a sympathetic gesture, rather than as a genuine assessment that he had finally surpassed LeBron, who did average 27, 7, and 6 on an absurd 57% from the field that season. I do believe the majority of the optimism was in KD's favor though, but it was short-lived, as his Thunder were eliminated in the Western Conference Finals by the San Antonio Spurs, while LeBron was once again heading to the NBA Finals. We were still anxiously waiting for his true breakthrough moment, but unfortunately, significant foot injuries caused him to miss the majority of the 14-15 season. He did come back strong for the 2015-2016 season, but now the Golden State Warriors had emerged, and were on the horizon, as Steph Curry was the reigning MVP and was in the process of winning his second straight as the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. As all of you know, KD's Thunder and Steph's 73-9 Warriors did meet up in the Western Conference Finals, and what preceded was an all-time great series. But after the Thunder got off to a commanding 3-1 lead, the Warriors stormed back and won the series. In the final 3 games of that matchup, KD shot only 39% from the field and 27% from three-point range, while over that same stretch, Steph averaged more points and was far more efficient. At this point, Kevin Durant being second place to LeBron James was now a distant memory. Now, he had to settle for being viewed as second best in his own conference. Then the Cavs upset the Warriors in the NBA Finals, and then the unthinkable happened, where Kevin Durant joined the greatest regular season team of all time, as he signed with the Warriors in July of 2016. Then Durant went on to win 2 straight championships for a team that was basically viewed as the greatest title favorites ever. Durant did win the Finals MVP in 2017 and in 2018 while putting up monstrous numbers. And at the time, a lot of people viewed this as an indication that KD was the better player than Steph. But oh, how things can change in a matter of a few years. Since their split, Steph won his 4th championship ring, and KD is still seeking a championship apart from Curry, despite the fact that he's had numerous opportunities with exceptional supporting talent. So to recap, Kevin Durant was second to be drafted. Then he was second behind LeBron James for years. Then right as LeBron potentially opened the door for Durant, he became second behind Steph Curry. And then the history books will say that he was the real second behind Steph when he was on his team. And now there's a new question for KD's career. Does he have to be number 2 on a team in order to win a championship? It sounds crazy to suggest it based on his talent, but outside of Steph, who was the clear engine and identity of that Warriors offense, Kevin has been unable to secure a championship, leading to questions about his leadership. Maybe the truth is, he was never a true number 1 in the first place. There's much to be said and debated over the legacy of Kevin Durant, and when it comes to his status and standing among the all-time greats, it's really hard to give him a definitive placement, because despite all of his talent and all of his supporting talent, he has very little hardware to show for it. Ultimately, after nearly 2 decades of watching him play, I believe the legacy of Kevin Durant is perfectly summed up by 2 words, and 2 words alone: second best. So what do you guys think? How would you describe the legacy of Kevin Durant? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.